good afternoon, and good evening wherever you are in the world. And welcome back to the OWLS Racing League here for Season 8, where today we reach round 5 of the season. After the sprint race in Saudi, we head over to the South Americas, where we take a trip to Interlagos. That's right, we are here for a race around Brazil tonight, and it should be a rather interesting one indeed, especially with the fact championship leader Pesant is not here tonight. That is right, the reigning champ, the championship leader, is not in attendance. So it means we could see the championship be blown wide open tonight, just before that halfway stage of the season. Of course, a 12-round calendar this season. 5 will be down after tonight, and then we'll start that second half of the season with a bang. But before we get underway for qualifying, let's just quickly take you through the calendar. Not the calendar, sorry, into the standings first. It is, of course, Pesant who leads the way from Leopold, then Cook, then Will Smooth, Yari, Quiet Boy, Captain Foxy, Ewan, ST, Phase Monkey, and Sprint is the top 11 in the championship this evening. And that will be certainly blown wide open after tonight. Of course, here is the calendar as well. So after tonight's race, we head to Montreal next week before we head to Mexico, then Baku, Bahrain, Shanghai, Miami, and Suzuka to round off the season. Of course, some straight bursts to go all the way throughout the remainder of this one. No break weeks, hence racing throughout. And it should be a rather interesting one to really round off this first half of the season in these next 2 races. Interlagos, of course, usually known for its championship finales, whereas here tonight, it is the host of round 5. We are now getting underway for qualifying, so let's head track side. The first driver out on the road, I do believe, is going to be one of the Alpines. And yes, it is going to be one of the Alpines. It is going to be, as we head trackside, Newt Panda, who will get us underway here tonight in qualifying. Of course, could be some of these drivers' first opportunities to try these F1 26 cars around this circuit. I'm sure some of them would have put some practice in, but of course, their first competitive race format potentially around this circuit. Of course, Newt Panda, he wasn't in attendance last week. It was Ewan in that Alpine. He was able to take the victory last time out in Saudi Arabia. Now going to see what Newt Panda can do. If he can carry on the hot streak in that seat. Of course, with a sprint last time out as well. The sprint was won by Joker. And then, of course, Ewan capitalising on Hyper and also Leopold making contact. Take the race victory last time out. A little bit wide through the first part of the Senna S's for Newt Panda as he now makes his way through the first sector split. A 17.9 for the Alpine. Once again, a bit of understeer through the Sino de Lago and heading up the hill now into turns 6 and 7. And then it will be onto the brakes for turn 8. Again, a lock up from the right front. Swings the car out wide. Going to really pinch himself into the Pinarino. Now up into Pico Tapato. Nicely done through there as well as he now makes the run down the hill into Yansao. Middle sector split 53.3. Definitely a scrappy lap. Not going to be the fastest we shall see tonight. But a banker nonetheless here for Newt Panda. As he now keeps a narrow run to the line, of course. Shave off as many meters as possible across the line. A 1 minute 9.896. It's a benchmark from Newt Panda. And Yari instantly goes fastest with an 8.9. So instantly a second quicker than Newt Panda, but a lot of that time for the Alpine can be found in that first and middle sector at 8.9 as well, closely followed in by Joker. Sprint goes into third fastest. Will Smooth separates Joker and Yari, only a few hundredths of a second separating the Audi and the Ferrari driver. Got more cars, of course, coming to the line to end off their laps. ST seeming to just be starting one. Captain Foxy now just making his way through Pico to Pazzo. There has been a retirement from BJ Riley. No qualifying bans reported. MKD is also retired from the session. So I wonder if they're just going to start from the back, or maybe just not happy with their overall game configuration. Might have to sort some things out on the side, but here comes Captain Foxy to the line. So 1 minute 11.1, slowest of all so far. Not the way he would have wanted to start his session. Paulie in the McLaren. He's now making his way through the middle sector. What can he do? 52.9. So faster than what we saw from, of course, Newt Panda by around about 4/10 of a second. So this at the moment could be shaping up for a potential top 5 starts. Well, provisional top 5, should I say. Across the line, it's 4th fastest for Paulie, a 1 minute 9.136. Not too bad there. Of course, we're on a short circuit like this. Times should be rather close. We should be getting a very frantic battle for pole position. ST not able to find a lap time, neither is Jimbo as of yet. Fran Bernoulli just making his way through the first sector, but I think all eyes really do have to be on to, of course, 2-time champ HB Cook, who has struggled at the start of this season. A big difference to what we saw in Season 7, where he started the season off so strongly and then unfortunately fell to the high side on that. He's not really picked up the momentum from the end of Season 7. He's just seemed to be in a bit of a dip. But here we go then with Cook. Cook can get a lovely slipstream off the McLaren in front. Joker goes fastest of all after doing 2 laps on that tyre. And it is going to be 6th fastest for HB Cook. But once again, another driver doing 2 laps, just like we saw in Saudi Arabia, doing 2 laps on the same tyre and going faster, and goes fastest by 1/10 of a second over Yari. So it does show those soft tyres do hold up. They do have enough steam in them. Fran Bernoulli now to the very top. A 1 minute 8.6 from him. So he now goes 2/10 clear of Joker. The biggest margin we've had at the front of the field all from those first runs. And a very strong start to the session there from the Cadillac driver. Jimbo pushing on a lap. No, he is not. Leopold seems to have just set himself up for a lap. Billy Wiz seems to be doing the same. So let's go on board with, Paulie in the McLaren. He's up by 1/10 in the first sector. What we're going to be shaping up to be in the middle part of the lap. 3/10 to the good here from the McLaren. So this certainly could be a front row start as of yet. For now, of course, we are just about to reach that halfway point in the session, so the track's still going to be improving. Time's going to be lowering. And here we go with Paulie to the line. The benchmark to 2nd fastest. 4/10 found in the end. A 1 minute 8.745. A 10.5 shy of Fran Bernoulli. That's a very good attempt as of that. And for Leopold, he's up by nearly 2/10 in the first sector. Had a small mistake through the Pico to Pato. Went a little bit offline. The rear of the car just kicking out slightly. And through the middle sector, has lost nearly 3/10 of a second. A big old slide from Leopold as we make our way up the hill out of Yinsao. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is a return to pit lane moment. Cook was up by 5 thousandths in the first sector. Can he find anything through the middle part of the lap? He now drops down the hill into Yinsao, up by 1/10 in the middle part of the lap. So he'll jump just in front of Leopold for now. Course, straight line mode active. Use all the battery remaining. We've seen some lifting into Yinsao across the line. Has lost time in the end of that final sector. Ran out of steam. Stays 7th fastest. Of course, this circuit Going to be very difficult to manage the battery for the first and last sector. New Panda has already invalidated through the first sector down at turn 1. Sprint is up by a 10.5 himself, and the Williams. The track certainly seems to be ramping up quite quickly. But the middle sector is really where you've got to start lifting and coasting. You can't be thinking of pushing too aggressively. You've got to save that battery for this run right here. Sprint up by 2 tenths in the middle sector, but the run all the way to the start-finish line, up the hill, and then keep it nicely to that inside line and use every last drop of battery you can. Across the line, it's 8th fastest for Sprint, a 1 minute 9.6 from the Williams man. Yari and Will Smooth both back out on their respective runs. Will just a little bit further around than the Audi. Through the middle sector we go. Half a tenth to the good. This could promote him up into 4th place as of now. We'll quickly switch to Yari, as we'll see what he can do through the middle sector. And he's up by nearly 2.5 tenths of a second. So here comes Will Smooth to the line. Got a lovely slipstream off the car in front. Across the line, 4th fastest. Lost time in the final sector. But for Yari, he's up by nearly 2.5 tenths. Is there anything more in the tank to put him onto that provisional front row? Across the line, there is. There is an extra 10th in the lap. He's 3 tenths to the good. Still half a tenth shy of Fran Bernoulli, who himself has just started an attempt. But it is going to be a provisional front row here for Yari. Joker down in the first sector. Couldn't see what Fran Bernoulli was doing there. Try and see who else is on laps. I think it is just going to be the drivers in 1st and 4th. Bernoulli was up by 300ths of a second. ST has put himself up into 6th fastest, a 1 minute 9.2. Not too bad there from the Alpine. Of course, we are still waiting for the end of the session. That's where all those big laps come out to play. Through the middle sector, we'll go on board a Joker before quickly switching to Fran Bernoulli. It's only 8 thousandths to the good once more. Fran Bernoulli has lost a 10.5 in the middle sector, and I wouldn't be surprised if I think he has just backed off completely. And now here comes Joker, a lovely slipstream off Pooley, I want to say that is, in front of him. Across the line he comes. It's enough for 3rd fastest, a 10th improvement. And for Pooley, he might actually get impeded here ever so slightly from Joker. The Mercedes will have to get out of the way. That certainly would not have helped through the first couple of corners, with Joker just being that little weave of disappointment as well. And yes, Pooley is just backing off this lap. Did get slightly affected by the Mercedes, as Yari seems to be going again. It is. Fran Bernoulli got out of the way quite nicely there. Was up by 200ths in the first sector was the Audi. We'll be looking for more though, especially with the Cadillac driver. Not yet finding an improvement. Got some traffic to contend with. That's Joker once again being a little bit of a distraction, but that shouldn't really affect Yari too much as he now heads down the hill and into the middle sector split. And it certainly has not. Nearly 2 tenths to the good. This could be an absolute gauntlet of a lap thrown down here by Yari, and this could certainly be the benchmark, the statement lap, with 6 minutes and 12 seconds left to go. Across the line we go with Yari. Is it a big enough improvement? It's a 10th found. It's a 1 minute 8.5. Can Fran Bernoulli reply? He's going to be starting a lap now, and he certainly has the opportunity to come back at things. Leopold up by nearly 4 tenths in the first sector alone. Don't rule him out for any opportunity at taking this pole position. Went a little bit wide through turn 8 though, and that's going to compromise his run through Pinarino, and he's gone too deep on the brakes into the Pico Tapato, and he's going to be bleeding time all the way through this middle sector. So as we now make our way into the middle sectors, but he's still up by half a second. He's half a second to the good, but a big slide out of Ian Sao is certainly not going to help him at all. And this seeming to be only good for 5th fastest actually at the moment, with a 5/10 improvement. So for Leopold, up to the line, it is 5th fastest. 5.5 tenths found, but still not enough to snatch provisional pole away from Yari. It's Fran Bernoulli up by 300ths in the first sector. Through the middle sector split, he's down once again. He's losing time. He's bleeding through that middle part of the lap, maybe just using too much battery through the first part. Pooley now goes to the top. A 1 minute 8.4 from the McLaren. A spectacular lap time there from Pooley to displace Yari. We thought it might be Fran Bernoulli, but no, it was actually going to be Pooley all along to snatch it away. And his teammate Billy Wiz has invalidated. Sprint is on an outlap. The A team now through the middle sector. Down, of course, he's backed off, it seems. Alex has joined the session, so he will get one run to be able to try and get as high up the order as he possibly can. For Jimbo, he's up by 800s, currently on a 1 minute 10.4. This 800s will put him on a 4 dead, but still around about 3 tenths behind on Captain Foxy. They're making his run to the start-finish line. Stays 16th fastest, a 1 minute 10.2. Disappointing run so far from the Ferrari. Sprint's just started. A laps has gone board with the Irishman as he makes his way through the first sector and now into the Sino de Lago. On to the brakes. Car rotated in nicely. Now for Sprint through the middle sector. He's down by 600ths, not finding an improvement on this lap. And at the moment, even if he was 600ths up in the other direction, he still would not find the improvement to put himself up a position. He's going to back off, come into the pit lane. Maybe gear up for one last attempt. ST up by 800ths in the first sector, currently on a 9.2. We need to find at least half a second to try and displace Will Smooth here. Give himself a comfortable buffer inside that top 6. But he's down by 1.3 in the middle sector. And that is going to be this lap over and done with, unless it seems to be he's building to go again. So we'll stay on board here with the Alpine and see what he's going to be able to do, of course. 2.9 seconds off in the end. But of course he wasn't using any battery down that main straight, saving it all until the very end. Oh, and it's invalidated. So for ST, I think that could be session over and done with, especially if he's not fueled the car up enough. Disappointment there for the Alpine, who potentially could have been on for a lightning run for at least a top 5 start. And it has not worked out at all. Fran Bernoulli just a little bit further ahead of Yari. See what the Cadillac is going to be able to do. Only 1 minute and 20 seconds to go. So this will be Bernoulli's last lap, I believe. He's down by 10.5, so if he's not good at, if he's not happy with it, he needs to back off now. What about Joker through the middle sector? He's up by half a second. Yari is down himself, so it's up to Joker at the moment to try and displace a lap from Pooley, and he certainly is looking likely to threaten it by 2 tenths up in the middle sector. The Mercedes man, who of course took the sprint victory last time out in Saudi Arabia, could be looking to back it up with a pole position here in Brazil. Across the line, no, lost time in that final sector. It's a 0.637. Stays 4th fastest. Leopold is down in the first sector. Will Smooth to the line. He also backed out. New Panda has as well. Cook, of course, a 2-time champ. He stays in 9th. He's looking to go again now, I believe, through the first sector split. We'll just keep an eye on his time. No, down by a second. The 2-time champ. Another disappointing qualifying session, to say the least. Yari up by 100th in the middle sector. Fran Bernoulli's session is over and done with. He will not find any more time. Paulie, is he just going to make it to the line in time? Yes, he is. So we still have another lap from the McLaren. And for Jari, he's not up by what he needs to try and take it away from Paulie, who will take his first pole position here in the OWLS Racing League. And up to the line we go with the Audi driver. He just falls short. Half a second found, but it is not enough. Joker not finding enough either. And he's going to start a best of 4th. We now look at Leopold. If he can tidy up that lap, he certainly could be a contender for the pole position spot. Of course, the man second in the standings. Trying to hunt down Pusan. And what a way to do it, by taking pole and maybe a race victory. And he's up by 0.2 of a second. This is going to be oh so close between the V-Carb and the McLaren. Of course, Leopold, who didn't partake in qualifying last time out, but still did a solid drive until that incident with Hyper. He took pole in the sprint last time out. Across the line, he goes up to 3rd fastest, but stays just shy of the top spot. And is Paulie going to flex his muscles a little bit more? No, he is not. He doesn't have the opportunity to improve. Billy Whiz comes into pit lane, and it is going to be the McLaren of Paulie who will take his first pole position here in the OWLS Racing League. A great performance there from the McLaren, who set the lap with 6 minutes to spare, and no one was able to get close enough and take that time away from him. The closest challenger was, of course, Jari, but still he fell just over half attempt shy. That is going to be the end of your qualifying session before a 36-lap race. Of course, if you are new here, we do have a qualifying session of 18 minutes, which you've just seen, followed by a 50% race. Which, of course, that 50% race is 36 laps here of the Jose Carlos Pache Lagos circuit. But your grid for tonight is Paulie, Jari, Leopold, Bernoulli, Joker, Will Smooth, ST, Sprint, Panda, and Cook, rounding out the top 10. Disappointing session there for Cook. Billy Wiz, Must with a good session for himself. Ben, the A-Team, Jimbo, Alex, Captain Foxy, who rounds out the rear, and MKD and BJ Riley, who did not set laps. So, of course, as we get ready for the race, what is the strategy drivers are going to go on to? Are they going to do a soft, medium, medium? Are they going to try a 2-stop, try a 1-stop? Are they even going to brave the soft compounder tyre? How well does it last in racing conditions? And will we see another new winner here this season? With Jari last time out, Paulie could repeat the feat. Defend 30. This is most ferocious 36 laps of his life. As we gear up to get underway, plenty of overtaking opportunities around this circuit, especially in this tie into the likes of turn 1, turn 4. You could try something in the middle sector, especially into turn 8. And we are now getting underway. It's Paulie and Jari on the front row of the grid here in Interlagos. It's 5 red lights. And we're underway here in Brazil. It's a good start from Paulie, who takes pole, he converts that pole into the race lead into turn 1. It's not a great start there from Jari, as Leopold is able to swoop right around the outside, but Jari is able to get straight back at him as the V-Carb went a little bit too deep into the corner. Fran Bernoulli has dropped down a place to 4th, and Leopold already on the offensive here against Jari. Of course, fighting for the championship lead is the V-Carb. It's 3 wide further back with Will Smooth getting past not only Fran Bernoulli, but Joker as well, but loses the places straight away. away on the exit of the corner, and it's now going to be side by side into turn 6 and 7. It's a lunge from Will onto Bernoulli. That was close to contact. Somehow both cars do not come together, and Will stays in 5th place. As Sprint is now able to get past Joker, who's had a shocking start. He's now down into 7th, make that 8th, even potentially 9th. As here comes Cook, trying to go around the outside. It's the new Panda sending it to the inside of both his teammate Joker and ST. And now we run down the hill. The Alpines battling away with the Mercedes. And it's also going to lead to ST potentially dropping a place against HB Cook. Sliding Red Bull in the background. That's off Muse, who after that impressive qualifying session for himself has dropped down all the way to the back of the field, and Cook is able to get through. What is he? It's going to be all about the battery. Heading up now into the first corner. Joker able to get back past there onto New Panda. Cook able to get front on past on ST. Here comes Ben as well onto Billy Wiz. He's able to get that move done. MKD gets past off Captain Foxy, and we might also see Muse make his way through, as now MKD trying to get past Jimbo. Has got past Jimbo, and Foxy also follows him through there as well. Billy Wiz fighting back against Ben. Back up into 11th place. But at the front of the field, it was a good start there from Paulie to keep that race lead. With Yari getting a little bit of wheel spin off the line. Leopold thought he might have had the position, but went too deep into that first corner. And for Fran Bernoulli, he's dropped a place as well. He would love to get straight back through. If something's happened to Joker, he's horrid start to the race. It's got even worse. He's got front wing damage too, does the Mercedes. And for Joker, it just seems these feature races do not go his way this season. Of course, did a stellar comeback drive last week. But it wasn't enough. There's contact there with Ben, and Ben all the way off the road. Ben kept coming across there onto Joker, trying to squeeze him into the wall. Joker did not have to move. He did not have to yield. And there was some slight contact between the pair. Luckily for Ben, he's still facing in the right direction and still is in this race, because that could have very, very quickly went south. But for Ben, that's a position drops, and loads of position drops as well. An incident he did not need to risk, as Alex is able to get past there onto Jimbo, as they're going to run side by side through the Piratella. Pinarino, sorry. Also PJ Riley looking to get involved as he looks to the inside of Jimbo. Of course, well defended there from the Ferrari. He's going to try and go all the way around the outside of Yin Sao. If he's able to pull this off, this will be absolutely magnificent. Around the outside he goes. Look at the commitment. It's bold. It's brave. It's absolutely beautiful from BJ Riley. And the Cadillac moves himself up into 15th place. But Jimbo might be able to fight back with some superior battery. Heading into the next left-hander, of course, at turn 1. And no, he is not. But Sprint is able to get past on the New Panda. Of course, overtake is available after lap 1, if you're within a second of the car in front. As HB Cook now gets past Nuke Panda as well. And here comes T to the inside of his teammate. He runs off the road. And that allows Nuke Panda through. It's a little bit further back. We have Billy Wiz squabbling side by side here with Joker. And the Mercedes is allowed through. I wonder if Billy Wiz knows it wasn't worth fighting. He's actually just picked up a 3-second time penalty. Or he just didn't have the confidence to go around the outside. So as we make our way up the hill through Yin Sao, Paulie leads the way from Yari, but that could certainly be under some threat into the first corner. None of the top three close enough. They're separated by just over 4/10 of a second. Cook now able to get past onto Sprint as the two Alpines run side by side once more. Lovely move there from Cook. And now here comes Nuke Panda, having to hold off against, of course, ST here. Sprint able to get back past on Cook. Leopold able to get past on Yari. These two still going side by side on the exit of the Sino de Largo. And up the hill we run. It is going to be Yari who I believe will just hold on, especially if he can cut in front of Leopold here. He is able to. stay in that second place. But a fierce battle that could have easily, if that dragged on through the middle sector, allowed Paulie to get away. I think better of it. Very smart indeed. Do not get too caught up in amongst yourselves. Especially this early on. As ST has passed Newt Panda. These two in a very big ding-dong now. As it's a switch back from Newt Panda, which was absolutely done marvellously on his teammate if he's able to hold on to this one. Straight line mode, of course, activated, and Newt Panda is through. Spectacular move as Cook is now able to get back past onto Sprint, but we saw how this went. On that last lap, Sprint chucks it back to the inside onto the Aston Martin, and he's just not able to get the valiant defense, but he might have some superior battery. Heading down the Retro Poster into the Sino de Largo. He's going to look to the inside once again. Cook might not be able to defend this one into turn 4. And it's going to be all about the run on the exit up the hill. Who's got the better battery? Who's got more to play with? It's, a little bit of contact between the pair. It's going to be round the outside from Sprint. He's not willing to back this one down. Unfortunately for the Irishman, just has to drop down into 7th place. Now has to deal with, of course, Newt Panda just behind him. There's a yellow flag in the middle sector. That seems to be for Captain Foxy. And at the front of the field, Yari and Leopold now squabble. Still Yari who stays ahead. Quickly look at the tyres. Seen them since the start of the race. It's hard for Leopold, Bernoulli, Cook, Sprint, Newt Panda, Joker, ST, Billy Wiz, MKD on the hards, on the medium, sorry. And now we see Leopold on the offensive. It seems those hard tyres has certainly come into play. And around the outside goes Leopold. A spectacular move from the V-Carb. And those hards are certainly the ones you want to be on, as Cook has been able to get past onto Fran Bernoulli, who must have made a mistake himself. He's got 3 seconds for time penalties. And also has dropped all the way down throughout the field. We thought the yellow flag might have been for Captain Foxy. It certainly could have been, but it also could have been one for Fran Bernoulli, who made a mistake somewhere. And that's allowed Will Smooth to be in a world of his own at the moment. And for Newt Panda, he's been able to get past onto Sprint, who might try and shut one back to the inside, but no, he will not. Muse picks up a 3-second time penalty, but the top 3 still breaking away. As here comes Leopold to now try the offensive on Paulie around the outside through Pico to Pato. Gets it done before we hit the brakes. Lovely use of the battery and using his expertise wisely on how to get that move done. Leopold will now lead the charge away down that main straight. As Fran Bernoulli, I think, is going side by side here with Cook. He certainly is in a little squabble here with the Aston Martin. He's found a gap on the inside of turn 3. And nothing Cook could have done there, as we see as well, just in the background. Sprint able to get back past onto Newt Panda. Jimbo picks up a 10-second time penalty, speeding in the pit lane. Wouldn't be surprised if that's going to be a retirement from him, but he looks like he's still going for now. And now up the hill into turns 6 and then into 7. As Steve looking to the inside of Joker. It's Joker then back on the inside of the Alpine. And he is trying to work his way back ahead of ST. But he's not going to prevail on this occasion. And now ST under all pressure from Joker. Once again, just look at that slipstream being used by the Mercedes. He looks to the left. He looks to the right. Sorry, he looks to the left. And now onto the brakes into the first corner. ST into the side of his teammates. ST into the side of Newt Panda. Well too late on the brakes. Trying to defend. Trying to be committed to hold on to the position against Joker. It has not worked one bit. He's into the side of Newt Panda. And the Alpine drivers, who were very close earlier on in this race, have come a little bit too close at lap 9 of this Grand Prix. And that has sent ST all the way down the field with a big recovering job on his hands. But that was an incident that did not have to be made. As Joker is able to get in front of Newt Panda at long last. He was able to get past. He was fighting with ST. He's now got past the teammate. I wouldn't expect any damage to be on the side of Newt Panda's car, because of course it was more tyre to tyre contact. At the front of the field, Yari is shaping up a move here onto Paulie, and he's round the outside through turn 2, and it'll be round the outside for Paulie through turn 3. Who's going to out-drag the other? Who's got the better setup? Who's got the better, of course, battery? Heading down into the Casino de Lago. It's round the outside from Paulie. Some slight contact made. The McLaren off the road, and the Audi takes the position away from Paulie. But that has given Leopold a 1.1 second advantage. We're here on lap 10 of 36. A race certainly full of action. Here tonight, been a very frantic opening 10 laps. Of course, now heading up the hill. Into the center S's. Fran Bernoulli once again swapping places with HB Cook. But no one really close enough for a lunge as of yet. Or is ST close enough? He certainly was. He made contact with BJ Riley. He probably sent that one to the inside. And now Alex has gone into the back of him. And he goes round the outside of the pair of them. And BJ Riley, I think, might have had a legal overtake. He's not lost just one, not two, but 3 places in the sequence of that. And that's going to be Billy Wiz, who moves himself up into 12th place, getting past Alex. And he's just going to be able to hold on, I think, up into turn 7. But for BJ Riley, that could not have happened at a worse part of the circuit. And it wasn't even his fault. He got clattered off the side of the road and got a legal overtake on the Alpine. Now going to try go around the outside of Alex. He's not going to be a happy driver now. Yellow flag. Fran Bernoulli. What has happened to Fran Bernoulli as he's dropped down the field? He is spun at the Pico Tapato. He is spun round, and he's getting a bit too aggressive now, trying to go to the inside of Ben, and I believe this may be a retirement coming from the way there of Fran Bernoulli, especially with how he's driving there. The pit lane, he will come. For Leopold out in front, his gap has been eaten into a little bit. And is he actually going to elect? Oh, I thought he was coming into the pit lane there with how aggressively he darted over to the left-hand side. Now for Yari, he's the one making the attack. Getting past Paulie is a yellow flag. That is going to be for Joker, who has gone round at the Casino de Lago, and he's got a pack of cars chasing after him. There goes one, there goes two more contact, and that's allowed MKD through as well. Front wing damage to the Mercedes. There's a late lunge by ST. He's really brave on those brakes, is the Alpine, even after the incidents he's been having. But it's Sprint now leads this pack, and he's up to 6th in this race. Be interested to see when these medium runners elect to come into the pit lane and get off this set of yellow wall tyres and move on to the hards. MKD, Ben, Joker, all into the pit lane. For Frambanoli, makes his way up the hill. Going to be happening there. Paulie comes into the pit lane, so he's the first of those front runners to come into the pits. Same with Will Smooth as well and Newt Panda. We are seeing those medium runners come into pit lane, but I wouldn't be surprised if Yari stays out for as long as he is within the 1 second. Speedy Wiz picked up 10 seconds for speeding in the pit lane and has retired from the race, so he's our second retirement. The Frambanuli getting lapped here. Does Yari now react to Paulie? That's actually, I think Leopold's coming in as well. No, he's not, but Yari is certainly coming into the pit lane. Get it all stopped. And now we have that pit lane battle beginning. Into the pits. Switching the tyres. Paulie, see where he comes out as well. In relation here to Yarin, I think it could actually be rather close, and it is going to be very close. The undercut seeming to be quite powerful here, as Paulie has been able to get in front of Yari after doing just 1 lap extra. That is a great undercut there from Paulie. Now takes that net second place and could potentially even take a net lead of this race. But Yari with those better tyres. That's Paulie to the inside of the 80. That was a very rash move to the inside there through the Pico to Pato. Yari able to go around the outside of his teammate who won't put up too much of a fight. But it seems like Paulie trying to break away. Getting a little bit rash, getting a little bit dire with these moves. ST picks up 10 seconds for speeding in the pit lane. Oh, that's unfortunate there. As here comes Yari onto Paulie to the inside. He does look be able to get the move done. No, he is. No, actually, no, sorry. That wasn't Yari. That was Paulie getting past Must. Could now see Yari go through on to the Red Bull as well. We do. As Leopold picks up a 3-second time penalty in all of this as well. That is disastrous there for him. Because that is now going to really rule him out of contention for this race fixture unless the others pick up that time penalty. There we see Paulie get past Alex. Yari will follow him through. Be looking to attack in the next few moments. Rambo nearly picks up 10 seconds speeding in the pit lane. That's surely going to be his retirement, or is he going to stay out that little bit longer? Yari, he's now got the McLaren in his sights with no traffic ahead. The next car in front will be Cook. Through Yunsao. A perfect opportunity here. He's got the overtake on this, that which Paulie will not have. Closer into that slipstream, just not close enough as we hit the brakes. Certainly is within a position to attack. You'll see Will Smooth behind Muse, who of course has stayed out 18 laps on those hards at the moment. Certainly be looking for a way through. Will Smooth, and he has got his way through. Of course, a race winner this season and last season, the Ferrari driver. Ferrari again getting closer. When does he elect to pounce? He's run wide and picked up 3 seconds himself. Yari now with a 3-second time penalty, and this really does play into Paulie's hands quite nicely. The fact that 2 drivers he is racing with for this race victory have both picked up 3-second time penalties. And he just now needs to keep it clean. Paulie can keep it clean and also even just potentially keep Yari behind him while keeping with Leopold. He certainly has a great opportunity to take this race victory, but of course for himself as well. Get behind, he can allow the Audi driver through and still be in a really great spot. They've caught up to the back of Cook. Leopold into the pit lane. How far back is he going to come out on those medium compounder tyres, which he will be, of course, switching on it to. Yari will not be helped this time around because, of course, there will be... I say it won't be helped. He's looked to the inside down at turn 1. Leopold is coming out of the pit lane. And there we see Yari make his way through at last. Muse picks up a 10-second time, but he's speeding in the pit lane. But is Paulie going to fight this one back? He's going to look to the inside. It's the McLaren to try and take this position back into his hands. The net race lead, the actual race lead, is back in Paulie's hands once more. And for Yari, he's now going to try and squabble this one all the way up into turn 7. Make sure he don't just touch the grass. He does touch it slightly. He has a slight slide, but he is just able to hang on to that one. And for Yari, a chance goes a-begging, and for Leopold, he came out around about 5 seconds behind. Is now needing to get past Will Smooth. Once he does that, he can start to hunt down the 2 in front. Now Yari with a great opportunity to get himself through. No, he's just waiting for the opportunity once again. With that straight line mode and battery, we saw him go around the outside of Paulie. a few in that last stint. He's not done it this time around, but he might now see where he went wrong. On that last lap, he might attack a bit more, heading into the braking zone of the Sino de Largo, and no, just isn't close enough. Weave to try and put the McLaren offline. Did not work. And for Leopold, he's in front of Will Smooth, of course, himself, fighting for that championship lead. Yari is pushing the McLaren of Paulie through this middle sector. That gap now 3 seconds between Leopold and Yari. Leopold in a great position at the moment. And now, once again, we see Yari on the offensive, as Fran Bernoulli has been disqualified from the session. It could just be a case here of now allowing, of course, Yari to stay behind and fend off Leopold. But here comes Yari to the inside. Can't hold it around the outside of the Pinarino, though. Once again, just have to sit back. Trying everything he can here. Is Yari, but he's just not able to find his way through. And look who's lurking in the distance there. Just in the background of that shot, you can see Leopold now reeling them in as Paulie goes deep, and this might give Yari the opportunity. Let's contact Yari off the road, and Paulie has to lose the position. But does Yari pick up an illegal overtake? I think he might do, and this is really inviting Leopold into the equation. This is exactly what he needs. The two in front of him to start scrapping. And then have the opportunity to take the position from right under their noses. They're still side by side now through the middle sector. Now down the hill, and Yari's been able to get the move done onto Paulie, and here comes Leopold to the inside on the McLaren. And we could see Paulie lose 2 places in the span of only a couple of corners, but it's a drag race now as they make their way out of Yunsao, up the hill of the main straight, of course, into turn 1. It does favour Leopold, who's going to be on that inside line for the first corner. And he does find his feet, he finds his way through. But of course, he needs to get past Yari with 11 laps to go, then build a 3-second gap, and he might already be looking to get past Yari. No, just doesn't have the battery to slice his way through. Ben picks up 3 seconds. A lot of drivers picking up those 3-second time penalties. Leopold, he still has, of course, that overtake. He's within that second. And Paulie is actually fighting back against Leopold here, but he can't lose touching distance to Yari himself. Big conundrum here. for Paulie. Does he attack? But at least give Yari some breathing room. But that leaves the opportunity for, of course, Yari to break away. Sit behind and let the two in front squabble it out. Pray that Yari is able to hold on. Leopold once again getting closer. And this might be the time to pounce. Here for the V-Carb. The race leader might now change. And it certainly has. Leopold to the inside. And he is through. But how much of that medium compound tyre has he used up to get past on the Audi there? And be able to catch back up. Is he going to be able to break away? Of course, the big gap is between himself and Paulie, but if Yari is able to fight back with anything left in the tank, anything left in reserve, he'll go his way. Leopold, he's not shook off Yari just yet. Oh, he's run wide as well. That's certainly going to be a track limits violation coming his way. Sprint and Nuke Panda now squabbling side by side, and he's going to beat Panda. Takes that 6th place away. Of course, Jimbo and ST have also retired from the session. We did see that a little bit earlier on. Sprint now back around the outside of Nuke Panda. BJ Riley, of course, also involved in this scrap, and Yari's been able to get back past on Leopold. So this is really working in Paulie's favour. Only a second behind the front two, and oh, that was nearly contact with the overspeed between the V-Carb and the Audi. And Leopold is able to see himself straight back through, up into that race lead. And for Yari, he once again just has to hang on to the coattails. Here comes Yari once again, looking to the inside. He's able to get past Leopold into turn 1. And this time he's able to hold on to things, but once again it's really brought Paulie back into play. he now does have some overtake mode as well. So, with only a handful of laps to go, when we cross the line, it's 6 more racing laps. Things are certainly looking in Paulie's favour. But anything can happen here in racing. You never know. Still could be a shootout between the top two. He's now breaking that second over Leopold. Have those mediums started to fade? This, where he's going to start to break away. And Paulie, that chance of a race victory might be dwindling once again. He needs to get past onto Leopold ASAP. This is a great opportunity to do it. Down into turn 1. Leopold without overtake, of course. There is going to be overtake for Paulie. Not able to get the exit out of that second corner like he would have wanted. And that gap now 1.5 seconds between the top two. Yari is starting to hustle. He's starting to break away. .1 now the gap. He's found half a second in the span of only half a lap, and Leopold is really starting to struggle. Paulie needs to get past ASAP. He's being held up here by the V-car, but he looks to the inside. Down into turn 1. They're close to contact. Is there going to be any contact? The McLaren is just not going to be able to get by once again, but he now, of course, does have that extra battery to his name. He has that little bit more of a boost to give himself an opportunity down the Sino de Largo and into, of course, turn 4. Is it going to be enough for the McLaren to swing it around the outside? The V-car will force him wide, and he just is once again able to hang on, but we're using the battery up into turn 7. Might be his best bet to get by. Now around the outside, he'll swing it. It'll be the same through turn 8. Runs off the road as we now head through the right. It'll be the inside for turn 9 for Pinarino. This surely will benefit him on the exit of the corner, but a big slide. Oh, somehow keeping the car in the right direction. And this is allowing Yari to be now 3 seconds clear of Leopold. It is all going wrong. Horribly wrong here for Paulie, who we thought only a couple of laps ago might have been the one to take this race victory, as they're still running side by side. It was a lunge to the inside through Yansao from Paulie, and Leopold has to cede the position this time around. But does he have anything to fight back? Heading up into the first corner, it's aggressive defending from the McLaren as the V-car will look to the inside. Paulie will take as wide of a line as possible to give him the best minimum speed through the left and the right. There's more contact between them as they both slide, and Paulie gets the position away, but is 4 seconds behind Yari. He needs to fight in the span of 2 laps, a second onto the Audi in front of him, and after that squabbling, boy oh boy, that's going to be difficult to do as we now make the run up into turn 6, 7 and then into 8. There's actually a little bit of contact there between Paulie and Leopold. These two getting very, very feisty indeed, and it's bringing Will Smooth into the equation, so he may not even see Leopold on the podium at this rate. And for Leopold, what was looking like a certain race victory on that undercut. He picked up a 3-second time penalty. On that overcut, sorry, picked up a 3-second time penalty. Wasn't able to then transform that into a big enough lead with those mediums. Yari was able to get the move done. Now Paulie has got it done. And all this squabbling has invited Will Smooth into the equation. We may see the man who fighting for that championship lead. Might not even take it away at this stage. To the inside he goes. It's a late lunge. There's contact between them. Leopold is certainly starting to get a little bit feisty. Maybe starting to lose his head a little. Get a little bit flustered in that V-Cub as Will Smooth look for a move. So we're about to start the final tour of the Brazilian Grand Prix here this evening. As we make our way up into turn 1. Is it going to be a lunge to the inside from Leopold? You bet it is. He's very late on the brakes. Too late on the brakes, in fact. Cuts across the centre S's. And it's going to allow Will Smooth straight through as well. He is getting too hot-headed in that helmet. His feathers have been ruffled. And unfortunately for him, that is going to be surely race over for any opportunity at a top 3 result. Unless something happens here between Will and Paulie. Yellow flag in the first sector, which I believe was for Mewis. Actually, no, I think it was for MKD, who spun around. Look how big of a gap the top 4 have got. 17 seconds to the cars behind. But at the front of the field, it has been a display of a driver revitalised. The RE last season was so mistake prone, so inconsistent, but this season it's been completely the opposite. The Audi driver is finally able to take a race victory and comes across the line to win here in Brazil. A spectacular result there for Yari, and Paulie will take second place, only just in front of Will Smooth, with Leopold ending up in 4th, and I believe will just about take the championship lead. I'll quickly just double check that for you now. There was a gap of 10 points coming into things, so will take that championship lead by 2 points. He doesn't like to hold the championship lead with many points, does the V-Carb driver. But for Yari, a spectacular result. Wins on the road here in Brazil. And that was a spectacular performance from the Audi. Got by when he needed to, and then capitalised on the battling behind to take the race victory. Put up the gap. Oh, so needed. For Yari. That is his best result of the season. I think his first win as well here in the OWLS Racing League. And it is from the second place on the grid. The top 2 were reversed in that one after qualifying. It's Will Smooth in 3rd. A good drive from 6th. Be able to get himself onto that podium. Leopold, who'll be kicking himself at the opportunity he had. MKD with a spectacular drive up to 5th from 18th. Then Sprint, Nuke Panda, Cook, BJ Riley, Joker, Alex, Ben, A-Team, Must, Jimbo, who is our first retirement, and ST, Billy Wiz, Captain Foxy, and Fran Bernoulli. Driver of the day, I'm going to go for Yari for that result. To overcome all that adversity, be able to pick up that race victory. That's certainly a very, very strong drive indeed. Drive he certainly can be proud of. But as we head back to my lovely face, what you all want to see, after what was a brilliant Brazilian Grand Prix, it was action throughout for Yari. Opportunity to maybe cement himself into a championship challenge. Came into today in 4th place. just under 20 points behind Puzan. I think he might actually now take the championship lead himself after that result. He will. So Yari will take the championship lead. Sorry, not Leopold. So it'll be Yari from Leopold, then Puzan in that top 3. That was a phenomenal result there for the Scuderia Ferrari driver. Does mean that Puzan, not from the Scuderia, sorry, from the Audi driver, and that means the Scuderia Ferrari driver, Puzan, does now drop off that top of the perch. But that's because he wasn't here this evening. What could have been if he was? Certainly go down without a fight. We saw that last season and the season before that. He'll do anything on to a championship lead. Quickly run you through your calendar once more if you weren't here at the start of the stream, just before we head off. So next week, we head over to Montreal. That's right, we head to Canada for round number 6. The halfway stage of the season. Should be a very interesting race. Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Then it is Mexico, Baku, Bahrain, where we hold our second and only other sprint of the season at round 8. Bahrain, Shanghai, Miami, and Suzuka to round off the season. It should be a rather spectacular end to the season, and we could have an absolute magnificent championship battle on our hands. Next week, we head to Montreal. Will Puzan be back? I think he will be. And see. I'll be with you once again next week in Canada. It's certainly going to be a fun one. So you shall see me there, and I shall hopefully see you guys there as well for a frantic race. But thank you all very much for watching. Make sure you tune in next week at 8 PM UK time, 9 PM European time for midpoint of the season. The halfway stage getting directly underway, and that is exactly where, if you haven't started your championship campaign off well, where that needs to change. Start putting in those performances. Stay safe, stay well, and we shall see you in the next one. Thank you, and bye-bye.